I will call on the presence of Mr. Akinbode, Obadina, Lagos State Permanent Secretary, Civil Service Commission, as he gives a review of this book that is being launched today.
Thank you very much, Mr. MC. That is a wonderful job.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to be here. And I actually wouldn't miss this event for anything. Many of us here may know that I have only about 14 hours to go in public service. My God's special grace. Next week, I will very happily be in pension. And flowing from that, there have been so many activities that have been lined up back to back. And as a matter of fact, the commission itself is conducting interview session for candidates as we speak. Someone is working for me. I also have another speaking engagement today at the retreat of the Office of Internal Audit later today. The commission is also organizing a mandatory get-together for the staff today. But I love books. I cannot pass up any opportunity to be part of any event involving books. One of my most prized possessions is a library. Of all the things that I have, my library is one of the things I value the most. And that's why I called Mr. Ashimi and we agreed that Mr. Ashimi, once I come in, I do my best. Will you permit me to give you and assure you? That's why I will seek your kind indulgence and permission that as soon as this very brief and short discourse on the book ends, you will kindly permit me to take my leave. Thank you very much. Because of all of what I've said, I did not have the pleasure of really taking my time to read through the book the way I would have loved to. But I did read the book. And I was immediately arrested by the simplicity of the language, the conscious and deliberate, intentional efforts by the author to be sequential in the presentation of his views concerning entrepreneurship. It started by addressing the biggest elephant in the room of most developing minds, which is circumstances. And he used himself very boldly You're welcome, sir. The author was bold and courageous in using his circumstances, both of birth and of growth, as an example of how the circumstances, limitations, challenges of our birth should not be a hindrance to the development of our mind. And he explained how everything starts from our mind. Our identity, our desires, our fears, our goals, how all of what happens, whether you accomplish it or don't accomplish it, starts with the mindset that we have. And that arrested my attention immediately. He then went on to address challenges of beginning. Where do you begin? What is your idea of success? What is your goal as an entrepreneur? How do you define success? Is it money you want? Is it fame you want? Is it to impact society you want? He insisted that you must define your goal of entrepreneurship. And he then went on to outline those elements that are critical to aspiring entrepreneurs. It makes for a very, very interesting reach. I got to a point where I now started to wonder whether this would be the man's first publication. Because, in all honesty, we met less than 2 weeks ago, or thereabouts, for the first time. But I found it very engaging, highly intellectual, very concerned about youth development and society in general. And the book addresses not just the salient guiding points for entrepreneurs. It also addresses policymakers in terms of those things that policymakers should be addressing to assist in bringing society out of poverty. I thoroughly enjoyed. I wish I had a lot more time and freedom. He addressed the major causes of poverty, the effects of poverty, and the pros and cons of what you need to consider when starting a business. It delves into the challenges of life and the necessity and importance of having a business plan. How you go about developing a business plan and the personal attributes you require as individuals to achieve your desire of going into entrepreneurship. And because a lot of what you wrote spoke to me personally. Many civil servants Many civil servants often don't take the time and the trouble to understand the environment in which we work and operate. When the public service rules under which we were guided says that they are not allowed as a civil servant to engage in any other business except for agriculture. That is because the government does not want distractions, and it does not want us to have conflict of interest. It does not want us to both the judge and the jury, the regulator and the practitioner. And that is actually right. But a time there was when that policy was fit, appropriate, and proper for the time. And in the wisdom of government, after a while, they said, okay, you can engage in agriculture. Now, agriculture has a great value chain. So, if I don't want to rear turkey or chicken, and I want to sell, I'm in agriculture. If I don't want to grow corn, but I want to go further down the value chain and make popcorn, I'm dealing with a good value chain. So we must have an entrepreneurial mindset, because the truth of the matter is that what we earn will not take us home. And if we don't want to steal, forge books, engage in corrupt practices, fraud, we simply must become creative in managing ourselves. And entrepreneurship is the way to go. As a matter of fact, we don't have a choice. When the British came with the civil service system, public service rules, and everything, the principles guiding it were derived from their reality in the UK. And there, back then, it was the Queen's service. You were in the service of the Queen, and therefore it was demeaning and beneath anybody working for the Queen to be seen to be doing any other job except serving the Queen. And that was the concept. And because of that, part of the structure and the design was for the public service to make provision for everything required by the civil service. And that's why it had the staff quarters, the staff boards, the hospitals, staff clinic, you had official vehicle. Even the staff quarters will be furnished. You had paid holiday, you had even road allowance. Everything was provided for the civil servants. The school that our children will go to will be government schools. And because of that arrangement, this stipend that was paid to civil servants was called, who can remember? Who can remember what I think then was called? It wasn't salary. God bless you, man. And why it was called personal emolument was because it was meant for you as a pocket in case maybe you needed to buy something that may not have been covered. It was now given to you as a personal pocket. It wasn't intended for you to send them to school, university, buy clothes, buy car, buy land, and go abroad. It was personal emolument, your pocket money in case you needed to buy something. What that personal emolument is to this salary, and the value has been eroded. So, without entrepreneurship mindset, how do you expect really that you can do magic? You can't do anything but magic if you depend solely on that so-called salary. So the only way out of this is entrepreneurship. For the young, for the old, and not so old. And the book was very detailed in addressing all of these things, guiding the reader in terms of identifying your competitors, your marketing strategy, success factors, identifying your skill requirements in terms of money management, financial management. I really want to recommend this. Personally, I decided, after going through the book, I decided personally that although I don't know the president, I'm still a civil servant. I need to be sure of the price, but I've decided personally that I want to use the book as gifts to young people. So I'll be buying quite a number of copies. And I also urged the author to please explore the possibility of doing a second edition. Because some of the things that are not in this edition, which we discussed, are the need to also break down specific aspects of business processes, particularly for beginners. Because you have so many agencies, NGOs, non-governmental organizations that young people can engage and leverage on. In Lagos State, we have the Employment Trust Fund. And you have federal government funds for different SMEs. So it's important that those elements, those first steps, when it comes to processing of loans, comes to issues of insurance, comes to issues of corporate registration with corporate affairs, the kinds of business registrations, the access codes online to the portal of the Corporate Affairs Commission, and so many other little hand-holding that would actually serve as a guide for interested entrepreneurs to follow. And you might even go further to engage with such bodies, but perhaps if there are forms that can be published as appendix, if there are information they can share, so that the second edition would, really be complementary to this introductory edition. We also discussed the importance of distribution, because we have many of our young people in our tertiary institutions, and it's important that from school, the understanding of the concepts discussed here is important for them to grab it. But right from school, they can start to think along the lines of the principles espoused in the book. And you're welcome. And that way, we can be sure that we will catch them young. The schools have libraries, and there are heads of university libraries. We also have desks, specific desks in the office of the head of service that deals with books such as this, so that every civil servant can have an opportunity to get one. The office of the head of service can help in doing a formal review and issue a circular that can notify public servants of a publication like this. Because we must all chip in and do our bit to ensure that we restore the place of knowledge. Information is power. This book is a powerhouse of information for everyone interested in making progress.
Thank you very much. I wish I could spend more time, but
On the shocking of the way. Thank you very much.